Welcome to SWSi Floristry. This demonstration video will be of a hand-tied sheath using spiralling techniques. We're going to start with some Viburnum, which I've stripped the bottom stems of foliage from. You'll find it easy to start this hand-tied sheath on your work surface. What we're going to do is place a layer of the Viburnum down to protect the first flowers that go into the sheath. What I'm going to do then is lay the gladioli so that the florets are just above the top of the Viburnum underneath them. To create the spiral in this design, what I'm going to do is place the stems that go in on the right over my hand and the ones that go in on the left under my hand. This is going to create a spiral effect. What I'm doing is laying the gladioli down on top of each other, but making sure that I'm protecting the florets so that they're not lying on each other. This particular hand-tied sheath will be in layers. So I'm placing the gladioli in on the first layer. Remember to place from the right above and from the left under the bouquet to start to bring the spiral in. Once I've placed the gladioli in the hand-tied sheath, I'm then going to place some more Viburnum on the top. So in between each layer of flowers, we have a layer of greenery to hold the next level of flowers up and to also introduce a profile into the bouquet so it doesn't appear too flat from a side view. Also, when I'm placing the greenery in, to the right I'm placing it under my hand, and to the left I'm placing it over. Once I've created a new layer of greenery, then I can put my next floral item in. I'm going to use the Leucodendron. By placing the flowers under and over the hand, it also helps to create a radiating line, which we want to see in this particular hand-tied sheath. This hand-tied sheath is suitable for both a funeral occasion and as a presentation bouquet on stage, or for people to put into their homes in a vase. Once I have the Leucodendrons in the bouquet, I'm then going to add another level of greenery. This time I'm going to put some of the leather fern into the bouquet. So again, under and over technique. And now I'm going to put some of the disbud chrysanthemums. These are going to add a focal area to the bouquet, and I'm placing those approximately halfway along the length of my finished bouquet because they're going to be the focal flower. I place 3 in a line, but ensuring that one in the center is a little higher than the 2 side placements, because we're following that same radial pattern where we have 1 that's slightly higher and 2 that are graded down. So then I can place my other 2 chrysanthemums each side of the first placement. Then I'm going to place another layer of the fern. So between every layer of flowers, I have a layer of greenery to help build it up and give it some profile dimension. I'm then going to place some stock into the bouquet. The same pattern, I'm going to place 1 of them slightly higher and then 2 side placements on the same level to give that radial line to our arrangement. I'm going to place the other 2 stock flowers the same as I place the chrysanthemums, slightly lower to fill in the base of the arrangement. So we're starting to build up the shape of our hand-tied sheath. I'm then going to add some of the leather fern each side of the bouquet, as well as some pieces that now project out from the front of the bouquet, again to give more line and depth to our hand-tied. This is where we create our profile that's still going to go up to a point or the main focal point. To finish the bouquet, I'm going to add some of the gerbera flowers, which are our roundest and strongest form, and I'm going to place those at the base of the arrangement. I've taken care to put these flowers in last, as they have quite a soft stem, and that way we're protecting the stems and they won't become crushed in the tie of the bouquet. These round forms will create a very nice focal right at the base of our bouquet. Still doing the under and over technique to ensure that the spiral is building up at the base of the bouquet. To finish, I just need a couple of more pieces of the leather fern just to finish off down at the base. You can also see that what I've done is not move the binding point at all, and the binding point has stayed consistent throughout the creation of the bouquet. What I'm going to do now is tie the bouquet off with some twine. I can let it rest here. What I want to do with this particular one is double the cording over and place it underneath the bouquet and then through itself as a loop, and taking care that what I'm doing is pulling against the stems of the Leucodendrons and the Viburnum, and not taking care not to crush the fine stems of the gerberas in the last tying motion. Then I'm going to gently put the cord up over one of the stems so then I can tie it off. I've also made sure that the actual tie is all over one area of the hand-tied sheath, and that also no foliage or leaves are caught in the tying point. So that will give us our spiral effect and also give a profile to the bouquet. The wrapping of the hand-tied sheath using spiral techniques, what I have is a piece of metre by 70 centimetre cellophane, which I've placed in a landscape way. For the stems to give a water source and protect the stems of the flowers, I'm going to use a standard piece of cut cellophane, and I'm going to place that portrait under the stems. I'm then going to put some of the non-woven paper both under the spiral bouquet, so if there's any stems or foliage at the back of the sheath, they are now protected and also presented. And then I'm also going to place a piece of the non-woven paper, but this time under the cellophane, because we want the cellophane to be the waterproofing against the non-woven paper. So the top piece is on top of the cellophane, and the bottom piece, the non-woven, is on top of the cellophane to create a watertight seal. I'm then going to place some wet tissue paper around the stems of the flowers in the spiraled sheath to give them a water source if this was either for a funeral occasion or for a gift occasion in the home. Then what I'm going to do is to bring the piece of normal size cellophane up over the stems, and then I'm going to bring the larger piece of cellophane that was resting under the hand-tied sheath up on each side of the sheath, just being very careful that any ferns or flowers at the sides of the sheath are not caught under the cellophane. What we always like to do in our floristry presentation as well is not to overuse sellotape. So I'm going to put a piece of sellotape down very low at the base of the design where it's quite out of the way. Then what I'm going to do with another piece of non-woven paper is just to, once I ruche the cellophane up around the sheath, I'm going to fold this paper up into peaks and put the peaks underneath the bouquet, and then also ruche that around the base of the sheath just to cover any mechanics or any stems that might be showing through the paper. I'm taking another piece of the cording and tying all that together quite firmly. So I've only used the one small piece of sellotape on this design, which is hidden under here in the ruching of the paper. The top of the paper is opened, but the base of the flowers are covered and protected and also have a water source. I then have a figure 8 bow with some extra tails of ribbon on it, which I'm going to tie into the hand-tied sheath. What we need to make sure of, this is quite a large presentation sheath of flowers, so we need to make sure that our ribbon is in proportion to the wrapping, so it's quite a generous ribbon with some extra tails. We then can present our hand-tied spiraled sheath.